In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? And welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. Boy, we're off to a good start, but you know, Toy Cam was already warmed up, and so are we, because if you heard me talk, because you know Mike's not going to cut it, I was like, we're not going to fool anybody, and that is the fact that we are recording a bunch of episodes all at once because Mike's going out of town. So today, we have our third in our series of original series figures. Mike, how's it going? Are we still punchy?
We're still punchy, but we're punching up, baby. We got one more week. We're all suited up here. Our figures are all suited up, and I can't wait to check out more Kirk and more Spock. Maybe we'll get some more sashes. I was really into that gold sash last week.
Okay, well, before we do that, we need to sashay into our begging for subscribers and money. If you are watching this and you have subscribed already, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It helps us a ton. Now, go get your grandma to subscribe.
Yeah, we need her.
And your parakeet and whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll take them. Well, everyone is welcome here on the show. Do the like, leave us a comment. It's nice to communicate with everybody. And you want to know who else it's nice to have? And that is our incredibly generous patrons on patreon.com/K&M. People who are actively supporting the show. They're helping produce the show. And in exchange, they get all sorts of fun bonus content that Mike's going to tell you about.
Yeah, we got Keith and Mike watch Deep Space Nine. It's another show we do, and I watch it in real time, week to week. And in fact, the next couple weeks are going to be interesting because I'm out of town, so I'm going to be just finding a place along the lake upstate to watch it with y'all. I hope, maybe. And you get that. You also get bonus episodes of Keith and I watching other good stuff. And there's going to be other fun stuff coming on the pike. We got AMAs. We got all kinds of stuff. But really at this point, as we're building out the content library, it's just you helping us produce the show. And hey, if you can't make that financial contribution, we understand. I've been there. There's only so many creators and patrons, that you can support. But as Keith mentioned, give a like, give a subscribe, or like our friends who are spending some of their time every week commenting on our episodes. Ribbing us about our singing and other stuff. We know it's all in good fun. We appreciate the engagement.
Very much.
We try to get back to everybody. It really means a lot because, like we've said many times, we're just kids that had grown up and are still playing with our toys, and that is legit, and that is what's happening. So thanks for being a part of the team. We look forward to hearing from you.
We are old, broken down kids, and I'm hoping to speak to the old, broken down kids in all of you by showing some really cool action figures from Playmates 4.5-inch line. Today, it's just Kirk and Spock. It's just the icons, the Kirk and Spock, but we're going to see 0 figures of them in their regular uniforms.
Thank goodness. Been there, done that.
Kirk and Spock get into a lot of fun and exciting adventures in the original series, and you certainly can't just go out in your regular outfits all the time. You got to time travel. You got to go into space. You got to find lots of stuff. So we're going to look at these figures, starting with figure number 16048, Kirk in his environmental suit from the episode Tholian Web.
Wow.
Mike, check out the glory of 1960s low-budget spacesuits.
Will, can't wait till you get in today. We got something special for you. Shatner coming out of his trailer the first time. What the hell is that?
What are you putting me into today?
Wow. That, I would say that the action figure made out on the deal.
Oh, definitely. The action figure definitely looks a great deal more or less like a craft project I might have done in seventh
It
grade.
looks like a Studio 54 fever dream.
It
Just like someone
does.
was just drugged out of their minds and was like, "This looks great." No disrespect to whoever made that costume.
Well, whoever made that costume did not have the budget
Yes.
that probably even Varner Studios had to
Uh-huh.
make this figure. But yeah, I feel like he might have like ridden in on a horse in the middle of
Uh-huh.
Studio 54,
Yeah.
doing that. Now a Broadway theater, if
Yeah.
you would keep up with that. But yeah, no, it's really something. But I mean, it's the sculpt is pretty cool. They definitely got all of the pieces of weird piping and bits and bops and doodads. I wish that they had painted in the black stripe on the elbow,
Yeah.
because I think that actually looks great on the actual screenshot there. But yeah, there it is in
No helmet?
That's a very good. That's a
The
very good
helmet's the
question.
cool and very soft quotes. Uh, coolest part.
It is the coolest part. It is the interesting part. But as far as I know, this version did not come with a helmet. Which is interesting. I don't know why it didn't. But I know that our friends running Wixaban had a question like that maybe the helmet is there, but it's not listed on the list of accessories. But I do not think it ever came with one, and I will explain how and why after we see our next figure.
Okay.
Why I'm pretty sure this one did not come with a helmet. So
Well, it's not
why
in the
don't
box,
we just
so
it's
there you go.
it's not in the box so we can tell, but sometimes they'll hide something behind the card
Yeah.
or whatever. But if we take a look at our next figure, we can see this figure again, but beaming in figure number 65174. Kirk in an environmental suit,
Oh, there's the helmet.
beaming, that does have a helmet. So first off, the beaming figures, I'm always like, I don't know, but they're interesting. This one looks super cool. I don't know why I love the beaming effect on this, even though the beam was never blue. The transparency there and the light, I think it just looks cool.
I'm interested here. I never saw these episodes, but Keith, from a sound perspective, as that's kind of like your family's thing,
Mhm.
were there lavalier mics in the 60s, or did they just kind of like film the ambient sound of them talking through the helmet and did it sound all muffly?
That is a good question. I don't know if they had laps back then. I know it probably did most of it with booms, with a boom mic, which is a mic on a big long stick that a guy holds over their heads. So I don't know. I would guess probably boom mic'd,
Mhm.
and probably in these helmets probably 80 yard. They would
Oh, that makes
probably
sense. Yeah.
they'd probably record it in post. But I'm not entirely. I don't really know for certain the answer to any of those questions. But I do have a question about how exactly this helmet got on in real life, because the thing that's holding it on the side of it does not appear to have a break in it, so that they have to like pop it off to the side to get it on his head. I'm curious about how all of that worked, but that black thing holding the helmet to the suit is my evidence that the first figure never had a helmet. Because if we go to Toy Cam, we can see that you see the black part is on the bottom there, and it connects when you put the helmet on there. And so you have the complete piece there with or without the helmet. However, you'll note on the first Kirk figure that we saw, the black part is not painted in. So that leads me to believe that they did not put a helmet with it.
Well, hold on. Let's do a little retcon. Can you put the helmet on Kirk 1?
You can.
Will it
That-
click on?
It will click on. So it did have holes for the yeah, you know what? That's a very good point too, because it does have the little notches cut out. to put the helmet in. Ooh, the mystery continues, Mike.
Maybe it was
the
a
mystery
budget
continues.
thing. Maybe they were like, we can't ship that many helmets, or we don't have enough, so let's just put them on the.
They planned it, but then scrapped it, or did they never do it? I don't know.
It could have.
But you
Could it be? I'm gonna fake one. I'm gonna fake a story, a
Okay.
narrative, and then someone tell us
right.
the real truth below. They had planned it and designed it, obviously, and they'd mocked it, and they had done their prototype, and then for whatever reason, when they wanted to ship, perhaps there was a problem, and they couldn't manufacture the helmets fast enough, or there was a problem, and so they scrapped the helmets in the packaging because these things are deadlined, and then they were like, well, we'll just save them for the special edition we put out of the beaming part.
I think that's quite possible. I think it's definitely possible. You can see while they're side by side here, it's obviously the same sculpt, but we have some different color variations. We have yellow as opposed to orange on the middle doodad there, and obviously the painted side there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm fairly certain one of the people watching this who everybody watching this knows more than I do. And I'm sure somebody will have an answer as to how that worked. But Mike, what do you think? What do you think about these figures?
For all the kidding I made, I actually think they're kind of cool. What's interesting about the Star Trek figures outside of the more alien race type figures, that when we're talking about the main cast, at least, they never feel particularly spacey as far as we know. You know what I mean? Because they're
Right.
aboard a ship and all of their support systems are met there. So it's cool to see them in more traditional space garb, especially when you consider the 60s, when the sort of space race was happening, and sort of combining both the science fiction future outlook with the sort of what we knew and how spacesuits looked and their kind of take on that. So it's actually a cool convergence of our kind of space excitement in the 60s and their design, and you get some crazy-ish, which is what we have here.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Phil, for just one more second, because
Yep.
I think it's interesting to compare this to what the spacesuit looked like later.
Okay. Well, I'm filling here, and I did tease before, but I mean, just look at this design of that spacesuit. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I really would love if anyone has any insight or like quotes that Shatner had about some of the costumes they put him in, or any of his anecdotes. I'd love to hear. So leave a comment below.
All right, so if we go back to Toy Cam, Playmates did not do the 4.5-inch
right.
scale versions of the contemporary spacesuits, but they did do the 6-inch scale from First Contact. And so you can see how they developed and changed. And Mike, you know what this one is. This is
Custom.
the custom wharf that JD did for you, that you manifested into the world, creating a wharf here. But you can see the original one had it blacked out. I don't know, JD's genius being able to make that happen. Yeah, so this is what it ended up looking much cooler later. I'll just put it that way. Later on, the spacesuits looked a lot cooler, and they reused these ones from First Contact on Voyager later. So that became the standard Starfleet. Here's a question. I don't think I've ever noticed this. So, the JD, did you paint these here, or was that a production variation? Why the buttons here were painted and not on this one?
Well, hold on, because check out the buttons on the arm as well.
Because
they're slightly
the arm
different.
ones are painted. I think they're the same.
It's hard to see on Toy Cam. So
Yeah,
the arm ones are the same, and the color
The arm ones
scheme
are
is
the
the same.
So was this thigh one not painted? And then Jay, did you fill that in, or was that just the screw up on that particular figure? I don't know.
Keith,
More
you're a millionaire.
mysteries.
You're a millionaire.
Oh my God, no, I'm not. The variations, the scrubs aren't really worth that much. But anyway, that is fascinating. But you know what we should do before we move on from Spacesuit Apocalypse? And you can see this came in the twin pack. I was talking last week about how in one of the twin packs, they just gave us the exact same Spock with absolutely no variation from the... this is what it came from.
Yep.
They just copy-pasted the exact same one. And it does make you wonder, well, why didn't they just give us Spock in his space suit and could have had them both interphasing? Because they did make, in figure 65278, Spock in the spacesuit.
Yeah, they did.
They did make one that did come with the helmet, and this was a Toy Fair exclusive. So you can only get this one through Toy Fair. We think, and by we, I mean myself and Wixaban, because I just trust whatever Wixaban says, they were limited to 15,000 of these particular figures made. You can see if we show the box, it came in the typical smaller Toy Fair non-shelf related box. Very simple. But he did come with the helmet, and you can see the black part painted in on the side there. It's the same body sculpt, of course, from all three of them. I mean, because you wouldn't want to do another body sculpt for all of these. I'm pretty sure that these are the original Kirk and Spock heads. Let me just pull. Let's pull them up and put them side by side here. Yep, that is our standard Spock head sculpt, not mirror Spock stunt double. And same thing with the Kirk head sculpt. So, although he's not as worried because he's in a spacesuit. I don't have as much to worry about with wrinkle lines in the forehead. So
riddle me this, Keith.
Yes.
Clearly a head swap. Easy peasy if we wanted to get Kirk in the suit with helmet attachment.
Right.
But because it would also just be as easy to take Kirk, since we know the helmet does slot in, to take Kirk with helmet, Kirk without helmet, and just paint in the black attachment part. As a collector who wants to fill your shelf properly, and you want to put Kirk and Spock next to each other in their helmet suits, which would you prefer? Just a little black paint, or do you want the full head swap custom?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think honestly, you could probably just hit that little notch with a Sharpie and get an extra helmet and throw it on, and you would never know. You'd never know.
Okay, there you have it.
But for me, I gotta put it up there the way they made it. So when it goes up on my shelf, that Kirk doesn't have a helmet. And to be fair, I don't have another helmet. But
can you pose his arm in a situation where he could just be holding an extra helmet, like underneath?
Oh,
let's go to Toy Cam.
Sort of. Let's see here. Let's see. I mean, he could definitely
almost.
He could be like, I got one there. Put it up there. See, I usually put the helmets at their feet.
Does his knee bend? Yeah, like can he be standing on it? Like I proclaim this land. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Except that.
There it is.
Yes, that's what I need. That's how I want him displayed.
Great. Well, congratulations.
I'm now satisfied. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All right. Well,
has anyone noticed in the past 2 weeks that anytime I tell Keith to do something with the figures, he automatically just obliges?
That's true. That's because even though this isn't a comedy podcast, the concept of yes and always holds true when you're broadcasting. So there you are. I think we should move forward from Spacesuit Apocalypse and maybe just throw on some old-timey clothes, Mike. And because we have a couple of figures from the iconic episode, many consider the best episode of original series, City on the Edge of Forever. Starting with number 65128, Captain Kirk in old-timey 30s clothes.
He's giving me all the Jimmy Dean.
He sure is, and he takes wide steps because we're in warp factor, so we have wide legs for some reason.
Like, we might make a horse later he can ride, or a Harley.
That's true. Yeah, the later they got into the series and the warp factors, I don't know why they started putting him in all these weird wide stances, which again look weird on the shelf, but also like, what is he doing? Like, what is Kirk actually doing here? Hey, I don't know.
Which is not represented in the screenshot. He seems to be much more composed there. But
he's like a normal person who walks like a normal person and has limbs.
He's clearly pool sharking someone in the figure.
Yes, he is. Well, he's trying to save the future.
Well.
But
one doesn't save the future with a skinny stance, Keith.
No, it's certainly not. You've got to. You don't want to be knocked over. You got to keep your weight low. So so here is the figure. He comes with a coffee kettle, which is good, as well as his phaser and a coffee cup. Got to stay hydrated. So yeah, these
set
are
phasers to nuke.
No, there's no microwave. It's the 30s, man.
Well, I mean, your phaser clearly can do that.
I mean, yes, technically. So, so these figures they come from the late warp factors. So they have a couple of things. One, usually the sculpt is great and the paint detail is great. However, you pay for that with a complete lack of articulation. You have no elbow, shoulder, knee, or thigh articulation whatsoever.
You could rotate his legs all weird. Like, you could get him into one crazy V-split.
You really can't, though. Like, you can sort of. Like, you can, if you really fight it.
Oh, boy. We got to blur that. Someone
What's
blur
up,
that.
ladies? There it is. So
Keith, can that shot be in the YouTube thumbnail, please? Right there.
Oh God. But that's all you can do.
Oh.
Like, arms up. One thing that is interesting about this character, if you will indulge me on Toy Cam one more time.
Well, you just indulged me on Toy Cam, so
I did. Well, we're all indulged. So
Hey. Now he's meditating.
He's very flexible, but his jacket is also
cool.
flexible. So his jacket is malleable here. So it's a softer plastic. So that's interesting. I mean, the figure, as long as you're not playing with it and it's on the shelf and you pretend he's riding a horse, looks great. I think the sculpt looks good, looks standard. I mean, it does appear to be the same head sculpt minus the furrowed brow. They went really heavy on the forehead wrinkles. I don't know how Shatner felt about that on some of these other figures. But you can definitely, if you put these two together, see the big difference in stance and articulation and what you're losing there. But it's great to have a figure from this episode. It's one of the most famous episodes of Star Trek, and it's cool to have it represented. And there's a couple other from that episode. So, yeah, so it's sort of like, Cowboy Kirk.
You know what it's giving me? So I will say this. I think the jacket's actually really cool. It reminds me, let's see if I can find a pic here. I apologize for doing this every week now, but it brings things to mind and we can all kind of reminisce together. You remember I don't know who made the figures. I feel bad. The 90s era Marvel X-Men figures. The Gambit figure, one of my favorite things about the Gambit figure, for those of you who are not familiar with Marvel, awesome trench coat, like duster type thing.
Yeah.
But then when you got the figure, hold on, I got it. You ended up with this like plastic, and you're like, oh man, that's not what I wanted. What I wanted was more like we get in the Kirk, which is a like actual somewhat physical jacket piece.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a duster at all. That looks like a
really
tarp.
Disappointing. They fixed it in the later kind of versions, but the original back in the, you're like, man, that kind of sucks. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. I mean, that's the thing about the Playmates figures is that they didn't do it unless it looked good.
Yep.
And I think that is just a good sign of taste and refinement. So, as we're talking about taste and refinement, I think it is time to talk about our final figure of this week. Can't believe how many original series figures we have gone through. But here we are, also from City on the Edge of Forever. Here it is. It is Spock, figure number 65129.
Oh.
There he is. Yeah, so Spock doesn't get the quite as cool an outfit as Kirk did. Definitely
His pants
rocking
are very
the short pants with white socks and a black shoe. But, look, Vulcans, they don't care about fashion. They're not here to impress you. They're not here to get the girl. That's what Kirk's job is.
What is his pose?
Yeah, again, he's got that sort of weird wide stance. I don't know why his arms, are...
I'm okay with the wide stance there. He at least looks like he's in some sort of human motion, but his arms, who, do that? What? At what point would you do this?
He's got, rigor mortis. I don't know what the... what is he trying to do with his hand?
Well,
I have to check the choking hazards. Maybe there's something that makes sense.
The right hand looks like it could be doing some sort of a punch, whereas the left hand looks like it's going to grab nothing good.
Yes, it does look like he's gonna go grab something, a bowling ball.
Yes,
he's
absolutely,
bowling.
100%. He's bowling.
That's what's happening. I think one of the things that's missing from this figure is that hat. But as we can see from our Warp Factor 5 box here, the only thing that's missing the hat is me. Because the figure came with the iconic hat, which he wore, of course, to hide his Vulcan ears.
Oh, he's got a coffee mug, Keith. That's clearly the right hand.
Uh-huh.
And then the left hand is that? What is that? What is on the right there?
They're vacuum tubes. It's a primitive computer. He made a computer.
Oh, I thought they were self-sealing stem bolts.
Oh, good callback. But no. So yeah, I'm bummed. I have to get a hat now. I didn't even know I was missing the hat, but now I need the hat. So
I'm sure there's a figure with a knit cap that's better looking, that is actually knit. I'm sure there's a Barbie there's a Barbie knit cap you can get to pop right on.
I don't want the knit. I want the hard plastic original 90s knit cap for Spock here, which I was wondering about because they do, of course, use the Spock head they've used 100 times. So they didn't, instead of what I expected them to do would be to mold the cap on with a new head sculpt or adapting the original head sculpt. But they actually built a separate cap and used the original head sculpt. So there you are.
That's when you go downtown. Sorry, it just looks like he's in the opening of Little Shop. Sorry, mine got very weird.
I'm almost tempted to record 4 more episodes just to see what comes out of Mike's mouth. And what is episode 5 Mike's brain do?
I don't know what's coming out of my mouth, but I can tell you whatever's going into my mouth, Spock is shoving it right now.
Yeah, he is. So if we go to Toy Cam one last time, I can show you that this jacket as well is malleable. And you can see that Spock has kept it, slim and trim down there. So yeah, it's a...
Could you get it off? Or is no?
You can't. And that is true of the Kirk figure as well, because the arms are not part of the coat. The coat is part of the torso. So if you pulled the arms off, you could take the coat off, but the arms, it's sculpted as part of it. But I bet you for customizers out there, this gives you a lot of different options to play with.
I was just thinking, I think the Mike figure would love a jaqueta.
Over your Starfleet uniform?
Yeah, man, because sometimes it gets chilly up in space.
There are uniform regulations. You cannot adapt your uniform. The Federation has provided you with that amazing captain's
No, because in
uniform.
Mike lore, man, Keith, I don't know if you know this, but in my story, in my arc, I got let go. So I just have the
You
uniform.
got fired?
Yeah, so I keep the uniform because I got fired but it shouldn't have been. I haven't written it yet, but I shouldn't have been fired. It was for under false pretenses, but yet, so I wear it because I still respect.
They're not going to let you keep your uniform?
I'm keeping it, and I'm high. They won't know I kept it because I put a jacket over it, baby.
Then
I put a jacket over and I like
you
sneak
can't
out with it.
false flag in the Federation, sir. No, you don't. You can steal your coffee mug. You can't steal your uniform.
Well, listen, if my jacket's not uniform regulation, then my Pike's Peak ain't either. They're like, you can't have a faux hawk. No, you're gonna need.
Oh no, you can have all the stupid hair you want. Have you ever seen the show?
A lot of bald guys.
The uniforms are so important that we frequently see our heroes on the shows wearing their full uniform when they go to bed at night.
Oh, the uniform's so important. It's you're telling me that it carries dignity and respect, Keith?
It sure does. Yes, exactly. And, the dignity and respect of a 5th grade science project, like a diorama. But
Shatner, how do you feel about what you have to wear today?
Yep, I think that was probably his attitude that day at work.
Oh, we're having fun. We are having fun.
Oh, boy. Well, folks, comment below what you want Mike to wear in the next video. And what's great is that, Mike's going to do it. Whatever you tell him to wear in the comment below,
I guess I have time now.
Figure out a way.
Months ahead, yeah.
He's going to figure out a way to wear it on the next episode. So that'll be really fun. You know what else is fun? Joining us on our Patreon at patreon.com/KNM, where if you enjoyed this nonsense, boy, do we have more for you up there with bonus episodes. Maybe Mike will wear the first draft of the uniform that you've designed for him when he's watching Deep Space Nine, and you can watch him watch Deep Space Nine. And, don't tell Paramount, but you can actually kind of see what's happening. So definitely worth the view.
Keith, I have to tell you, I'm looking for it. I'm feverishly searching for it now to see if I can find any images. I cannot. I actually have a spacesuit.
That's right, you do.
I don't know why I can't. Maybe it's for the best that I can't just Google it right away.
How did you not put it on for this episode?
I didn't even think about it, but wait.
No, well, all right. So at the very least, we've got to see
folks.
Mike.
I'm getting it. Yeah, we're gonna get it.
Yeah. Well, and you're gonna wear it next episode, which of course will not counting our official review of the Playmates 2022 line, which will be arriving in my mailbox.
Oh, that's exciting. Maybe by now. We don't know.
So it's possible. It's possible that we will have already dropped the review by the time this episode airs. But if not, it will be coming soon for sure.
Okay, we ready for this, Keith? I don't want to.
Let's see the glory that is.
All right, hold on. Let me get a big.
You can see in Mike's eyes him battling. There he is in his spacesuit. And that's not CG. You actually own that.
I do. In the cats, it has started because it wasn't a high quality spacesuit. It was more of like a child's. I had to cut the bottom off because it was cutting circulation to my genitals off.
It is. There's the episode title.
So, that's for real. And now that faux leather thing is disintegrating, so it's in disrepair. But I'll see if I can dig it out.
We're gonna go home and we're gonna go get a sandwich. But Mike, I'm gonna leave you with this thought. Imagine me in that spacesuit.
Oh, good God! I would give anything. Oh, good God. Oh, man.
It's the Great Pumpkin, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you back next week with another exciting episode of Look at